Welcome back to the LCS and the LCS waiting room. We have the same cast as last time, except Hai is joining us for the first time this season on the waiting room.
I'm here.
With your sick shoes.
Oh, thank you.
Those
I like
always
yours
look
too.
so comfortable.
Are those slippers or shoes?
They're like both. They're
They
acceptable
look
because they're like closed toe,
comfortable.
you know?
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like super comfortable because they're kind of like Crocs, like the bottom of them. I don't know.
Wow, look at this jib shot.
Wait,
Yeah,
they're
no,
dirty.
whoa.
Don't show them. I'm embarrassed.
I'm a little sad we're bringing attention to the shoes because my shoes are never good, and I just haven't gotten any reactions.
My shoes
I've been
look
wearing
thick.
these for like 8 years on the LCS ever
Honestly,
since I
you
joined.
just got the dad shoes going on, Jad. It's okay.
Yeah. Also, people have always been asking, what's in Emily's bag? What's in the bag?
You're not supposed to ask that question. Oh, shit.
I'm a thief.
So,
a very bad one.
it's so heavy. Wow.
It's actually so heavy.
Yeah.
I've actually never held the trophy.
When
This
I was
is like-
trying to lift it to put it in the bag, I was just like, wow, I'm weak.
So, anyone else want to feel it?
Am I allowed to? I've never won
Yeah.
an LCS.
I mean,
winner.
I won a lock-in trophy, which was pretty big.
Did you not win a?
No, second place.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Give it to High.
surprisingly heavy.
Bro, these I didn't have these when I won.
I didn't even make a
Well,
finals.
funny
They
this
didn't
year.
make
Story.
trophies for you?
They used to
made
be
me
smaller.
trophies.
Wow.
And then the lock-in
Yeah.
trophy.
Pat on the back.
Fix that.
Good job on winning, guys. You did good. Let's
When-
have some
when there
boiling
was
You
the
crab.
need to
rebrand.
fix that. Let's have some.
I think they
boiling
retroactively gave
crab
it.
is good.
Like
Yeah.
7 years later, they
Good
gave
call.
it.
Yeah, when there was the rebrand, they made the trophy way bigger. So the lock-in trophy at the time was bigger than any previous LCS trophy. So it felt really good to win lock-in. And then they made that trophy. I think they probably just added weight to it. That's like at least 40 pounds.
I mean, yeah, they just
It's
stuck
really heavy.
cement in the bottom to make it feel more important. I guess I'll.
Yeah.
So why do you have that?
Speaking of this,
Because I'm a thief. I'm just a really bad.
she's stealing it. It's also spring finals tickets are available where that goes to a team, right? They're on Ticketmaster. You can head over to lolesports.com for more info as well, or hold your phone up to the QR code. It'll give you a link.
It's like
Mark can
walking
read
me.
QR codes with his mind.
QR codes
Did
are
you know that?
underutilized in Western culture, I think.
Really, every menu I go to now has a QR code.
Those are super handy, by the way.
They are.
Yeah.
Show the QR
Our
code.
producer Zeus also says that's a real trophy. Please don't break it.
I should be a little more careful then.
Let's pull up the standings
How
on
many of
the
these do we have
BFM right here.
to get through?
This is what we have going today. Still a really tight race for playoffs. We were trying to go through scenarios. There's like a lot of scenarios. CLG can't get eliminated unless they lose today, and a few teams above them win. So still 8 teams that are like well fighting for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a crazy tight race. It's probably going to come down to the last day, but there is even like seeding battles on the line today, not just who are the 6 who are going to make it, but for 100 Thieves versus C9, you have the potential for MVP, resume building. You have, can they actually get up and knock C9 down out of first place? So then, do they have to play Team Liquid in an earlier round or whatnot? There's still a lot of important battles going on.
Yeah. Hi, I was talking with Joey, our sound guy, earlier when he was micing me up. And he was talking about how calm your demeanor is.
Calm.
Like, calm. So like yesterday, people don't know
Okay,
this.
I'll take that.
We were gonna do a Telestrator segment with you, but there was like a
Alright.
technical hiccup, and you were just like chill through the whole thing.
Right?
And what Joey was saying is like, oh, now I understand how C9 always went on all these like ridiculous runs because they had this calm energy.
Huh.
Is that something? True story. Joe
That
says.
might be
Yeah.
a true story of what he said.
Is there anything to this? And if you were on CLG, how would you try and calm them for today?
I would be surprised if my teammates told me I was a calm one.
You weren't calm.
Well, not compared to them. Like, come on, the people on my team, you have Sneaky. He's not calm now, but like back then he's pretty quiet, right? And then we have Balls. That guy talks like 2 words a game. We have Lemon, who's like 35 years old, so he doesn't talk much either. And then there's like Medios and me. Like, so we talk a lot because we have to. So I'm definitely, I wouldn't say I'm calm, at least when I play the game. Outside of it, for sure. I take that. Thank you, Joey. I appreciate that. And then for CLG, I don't see why they would need calm energy per se. Like if you look at the last 5, they've done well, and I think they usually play well. They're not like super far behind either way, and I'm actually pretty hype about their team.
Yeah, the lemon gift ready to go.
Yeah, see, can you imagine that guy not being more calm than me? Look at that, you know? So if I'm CLG, I'm feeling good. Like it's the best split they've had in like 2 years. Granted, that's not saying much because the bar is very low.
Yeah.
But, those players aren't the ones that were at the bottom, They're doing much better than the previous years. I think they're chilling.
I think they themselves have also said they have a pretty good like team environment, even when they have been losing, which is really good.
Yeah, TSM's playoff streak was snapped yesterday, by the way. We wanted to talk about it on Waiting Room because it was a really, really long streak.
Yeah.
Every split of LCS ever. And Emily, you did some research.
I did some research, so hopefully this is correct, but I believe Fnatic, who just won earlier today, has the longest active streak with 19 splits of making playoffs.
And that's for all
and it is
four
it is
major
still
regions.
yeah for all 4 major regions. So TSM is out; they're grayed out. Cloud9 and G2 are both at 13, including this current split. And then I was looking at LPL teams like T1 would have, if it hadn't been for 2018 summer, I believe, was the split that they missed. And then EDG had their streak snapped in 2020. So I believe these are the longest major region active streaks. So shout out to Fnatic also for continuing. Like, that's super impressive.
It feels like for a while, at least in North America, the road ran through TSM because it wasn't just for a while that they made playoffs every time. They made every finals for, I think, the first 4
Up until
years.
2018.
It was even longer than that.
It was like 5 years. It was only when we did franchising and Clutch knocked them out.
Yeah, it was insane how important they were to the early history of the LCS, not just winning a lot of titles, not just always making playoffs, but always being in contention. It was like if you wanted to win, you had to get through TSM at some point.
Yeah. So TSM's out, Immortal's out. We can take a little bit of time. We're not going to spend too much time in the pre-games for them. But, like, what is next for the teams? Do they... It's always hard to make changes between spring and summer, obviously. But what do we think is going to happen?
Well,
Let's
first
speculate.
and foremost, I would argue that they should allow their academy players to come play in LCS. There is a large difference between getting screen time for those players than it is for the ones there. For example, right? I think are they bringing Arrow back for the game today?
Yeah, Arrow's coming back for Immortals. Are you thinking? You're saying like just for the next 2 games?
Right, because these games no longer matter, right? So whether they win or lose, the players don't go anywhere from it. It's like, yes, the teams and organizations still want to win, but if you're trying to build up your amateur players or academy players, they need time in the LCS, right? Like, even if they get smashed, which they probably wouldn't, they maybe would, but I'm hopeful, you know? I think it's important to give these players the opportunity to play here, especially when the stakes are low, just to see how they, do, because there's no way you're gonna know if an academy player would perform well on LCS until he actually does. So what better time to do it than for games that don't matter?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting for Immortals because, like, for me, when I look at them, I see a lot of people thought that the roster wasn't going to be good, especially once we saw them in lock-in. And I was of the opinion that, like, Power of Evil was going to be able to carry them to a lot of victories. They've weirdly had a lot of close games where they just can't close. So I'd almost want to say that they're better than their record. But kind of the fact remains, we have, let's take 2021 CLG, which I'm trying to find a good word for it, but it's basically they had established players but they didn't have anyone who was considered top of their role. So they had like mid-tier established players on the old CLG roster, which used to be the formula to get like 5th, but CLG got 10th with it last split. And then here we have Immortals, who everyone compared to that CLG roster, also doing poorly. Like, this could probably have bigger implications on the LCS in general for that type of roster construction. Like, is it dead now?
It should be. It should have been dead after the CLG one because at this point, it's like you should be developing talent. You should be trying to find something that works for your brand. Just slapping together the 5 biggest names left available after free agency, which is kind of how these rosters have felt, seemed dead in franchising. It's like, you're not going to get knocked out of the league anymore. So, like, go try and do something long-term, invest in some players. That's how the CLG one felt. This is how this one felt. And I don't know what moves they have available for summer, but is there any point to running this same group of 5 players back, to High's point about getting the academy players in? What are you going to accomplish? Like, you're not making a Worlds run, most likely. You might make playoffs because it extends to 8 teams and maybe you can crawl into 7th, but is that what PoE wants to be doing right now? Is that what Xerxes wants to be doing right now, is like getting in 7th in playoffs and getting knocked out right away? I don't think so, and that's why, you know, figure out what the actual future for your organization is if it's not in summer, at least for 2023.
Yeah. Emily, do you have any thoughts here?
I mean, any time that I can advocate for actually looking at the talent that is in academy and amateur, like, Proving Grounds is going on right now. There's a lot of scouting opportunities there. I think there are a lot of players that are quote unquote LCS ready that people don't even consider, that are playing all the time in Proving Grounds constantly. Not even on like these academy teams, but across the board. Like, there are so many players I can think of that I think deserve a shot in the LCS. I would like to see that happen.
And for the GM of Immortals, he left, the one who built this specific roster, like a week ago, after saying I'm never leaving Immortals or whatever. Something happened, he left that team. And so if you're the new GM or whoever's going to be in charge of putting a roster together, if you want to make a splash, like, find the next hot talent from Proving Grounds could be a great way to do it.
Yeah. Geez, TSM is a way more popular brand, So all the bad things that go on in their organization get blown up. Immortals has had a rough go of it in the last little bit. So both those teams in the bottom of the standings definitely have some searching to do in the next 2 games and going towards the next split. But we're going to move on to an MVP topic.
Ooh.
We're going to have an MVP, right? We did a poll of the desk, and most of us think it's going to be Summit. He has 7 individual player of the games. He has some of the most dominating stats we've seen of any top laner. He would be the first top lane MVP in LCS history as well. Let's just do a little bit of talking about Summit before we talk about the other people that should at least be in the conversation.
Well, for me, I think Summit has done what people were hoping Alfari would do last year, where there is the lane domination, but then there's the transition to actually being the reason they win a ton of games. And he is able to take his leads, spread them around for the team. He feels like a huge part of the investment for how they approach draft as well as in-game play. And he has established himself as the de facto top laner now in North America, that he is going to skill check every single person in lane, and barring if you pass that, he'll still find ways to be impactful in the games.
I keep going back to what Blaber said in one of his interviews, I believe with you, Hai, where he was talking about, you know, what it's like to jungle on C9 right now and how important Summit is, because he can always rely on top lane going well, right? It's always a point of either pressure that he can play around or something that he knows he can reliably count on so that he can go elsewhere and maybe help out his other lanes or counter jungle based on the pressure he has top side.
I think one of the large differences between Alfari and Summit for me is that they both gain these leads early game, but Summit will usually find opportunities, or he'll create windows where he forces that advantage on the enemy team. Whether that be doing a rotation first and tower diving somewhere, or just trying to go for these 1v1 tower dives, like past tier 2 tower, going for these early inhibitors. Like, he's often trying to do these plays that are, you know, quote unquote questionable, but they more often work out for him because he has the mechanics to back it up. And he usually kills them. Like we saw yesterday where he solo killed, what was it, FakeGod 3-4 times past tier 2 tower. Like, I'm sure Alfari could do that as well with his mechanics, but he didn't go for those plays. And Summit usually does. Sometimes Summit will die for it, so you'll see him die often, but you need to do these things when your team puts resources into you, so that way you're buying space for your team to get resources elsewhere. It's super important.
I will say Alfari was really close to winning MVP in spring as well. He ended up being second place in the ballot. Blaber won MVP last spring, and that'll kind of bring us to this next game of who could possibly top Summit. Producer Zeus tells me that we have a game here, so we're going to be cycling through possible MVP candidates. I see a Kobe in there for some reason, but it's going to randomly stop, and Emily is going to have to make the argument of why this person should win MVP. So, producer, stop it at some point. I hope. Oh, Blaber.
Well, there you go. The other
That's
guy
a good one.
MVP.
He won MVP last spring.
All right.
So we have a thing over there we're supposed to get to. Emily,
hop up to the summit.
Can you
find the
reach
head and go to the summit.
to place Summit?
I don't think I can, actually.
I'll help
I'm
you
really
out.
short.
All right, I'll help out
made
as
it.
well.
Actually, wait.
First.
You're going to put him all the way at the top?
I'm putting
Summit is
Oh,
at the
okay,
top.
okay.
Yeah,
Summit is
okay,
at the
thank
top.
you.
Summit is on the summit.
All right.
Okay.
So, Blabberfish 2. He is one of the, I believe he has the highest percentage of any player in LCS with more than one game. He's been an incredibly winning jungler. He's top in all damage numbers, I believe, right now, if I am correct in checking my statistics. But more than statistics, I think Blaber can actually play multiple styles. Previously, we were worried about how he'd fit on the C9 team. Where would he fit? He's a carry jungler. He goes for some of these plays. Maybe it's not right. We've seen him play with his lanes. We've seen him play carry champions. He can do it all. I actually think, like, in all honesty, people see that MSI, like, scuttle crab thing, and I know they've turned to a meme. They still see it in their minds, and it's like, no, he's so much better than that. He's insane. He's awesome. He's also on a team with Summit, so...
Yeah, I got one more, though. He was the MVP before Summit was there, so how valuable could Summit really be? There's already MVP on the team.
I'm going to put him right up there.
Is he that high?
No. I thought it was the point that we vote
the peanut gallery. She wants to put him there.
She wants to put him 90% of the way up.
I'm down for that.
He's good. Come on.
I'd say like 80%.
So like here?
You see that, like, the left cliff on the summit? Like, right there.
Yeah. He's like,
that's acceptable. That's
the
acceptable.
left-hand man of
Got it.
All right, good job. That felt a lot like a class presentation where you just like have to go up in front of the class and read all the reasons.
That stuff is always nerve-wracking.
We're cycling this again. We're cycling this again. Hi, you're gonna have to do this next one.
Okay, let me see it. Who do I get?
And freeze.
Awesome.
Blue.
You got blue?
Yes. Well, you ready for that?
I was not ready for that. No.
The thing
I
about
don't think he's going to
being
be as high as Blaber.
a salesman is you have to create a good pitch, okay?
Okay.
So first and foremost, look at this beautiful man, okay? A very gorgeous face, and hear me out. So when people are talking about MVP candidates, they either think of one or two things. Number one, who's the best player in their role? And if it's by a large enough margin, which Summit usually is over the current top laners, it's a very good candidate, right?
Yeah.
However, there's another way to look at MVP, which is what brings the most value to this team and what makes this team good. Like, this team might not be first, but did they go from 10th to 5th or like 10th to 6th, which is a large improvement, right? So I personally think Dignitas has been in super well this split, and I think Blue is a large reason for that. He's had a lot of games where he's actually like solo carried on Akali, and getting those wins is so valuable to the team because say, for example, they had 2 more losses, right? They're like 4 and like what, 12 or something? They're out of playoff contention. So for a team like Cloud9, no matter what Summit does, or like no matter how bad he performs, they're in playoffs already no matter what, right? But for Blue, if he were to perform badly, he'd be one of those teams that are eliminated out of playoff contention already. So for me, I think of MVP as something as what makes this team stronger rather than like who's the best in their role. So for me, I think Blue is a large reason why Dignitas did well. And if they didn't have him, they would be out of playoff contention already.
It's a good case.
Right.
I don't want to put him that high up.
Well, you
I'm
can't
saying-
compare his skill. You can't do skill to
my
skill.
counter to this point is River is on the same team.
I know that. So I was gonna say, I think you did a great job given that you were handed Blue, but I'd still put him at base camp.
What?
He's not getting up the
Base
cliff
camp?
at all.
He can go like below the snow line.
It's a snow line.
Is there an
Yeah.
alpine tree that
So
you can
like
put him
Where's
on?
that?
where all
You see,
the
like,
Is this the snow
where
line?
it
Yeah,
starts
pretty much.
turning
Right,
into
you putting him down here?
The camera can't even go that low.
Yeah, well, a little above that.
What?
Just like middle bottom of the
Camera
the
down?
mountain.
Yo, you guys are
Pan-
kind of
I mean, put
toxic.
him where you
right
want.
here?
Put him where you want. Put him where you want.
Here?
Yeah, that's a good spot.
You guys are toxic. What the hell?
I'm with Emily. If you did River, I'd put him like at least on the
A little
snow.
high.
That's some jungler bias right
Yeah.
there.
It is.
They've only
Right.
beaten TSM, Immortal, CLG, and 1 game against 100 Thieves. Everyone else they're 0-2 against.
They've beaten one
That's tough
playoff
MVP.
team.
Yeah, Mark, you're going to be up next. Let's roll the telestrator. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Blue and stop.
I love it.
Closer.
Closer's my guy.
Okay.
Got him. All right. Here's the thing about Closer, and part of this is still speculative. It's a platform to go on into the future for why Closer should be your MVP. They're on the hottest win streak in the LCS right now. They are 6-0 on this win streak right now. They have Cloud9 today. If they can beat the 2 people up here, he can literally claw himself up the mountain by taking down Cloud9 today. They can go 8-0 on their win streak. They can potentially get up to 2nd seed after everyone was kind of doubting them the entire time. Closer has been the most consistent part of that run for them. There's games where someday doesn't look as good. That Golden Guardians game where he got absolutely slammed by LeTigress. Albadagi has been hit or miss. The bot lane's been hit or miss. Closer has been the consistent force, 400 Thieves, all split long, that has kept them in that kind of title contention where they are undisputably the 3rd best team in the LCS. And if he can get all the way up to 2nd off the back of some great play, slamming Blaber today, I actually think he has a case to be potentially the best jungler in the LCS.
What about Sunday? Sunday's pretty good.
Sunday's pretty good, but he got slammed by LeTigress. That's the best. That's
Sounds
my
like some recency bias, Mark.
Maybe.
It's a good case, though. I think Closer is
Isn't it
right
better
in there.
to end well than start well? It is recency bias, but recency bias isn't actually that evil, despite how much people talk about it. Wouldn't
Yeah.
you rather end well to show that you're improving over the year than slumping, but like, hey.
Yeah.
I think the best thing about Mark's point is it combines the idea that a player has to be the best in their role with the value point that Hai brought up.
Yeah,
I mean,
best of both
I'd put
worlds.
him like near where Blaber
Start
is, to be
placing.
honest.
Where's he gonna go?
Yeah, where do you think you should go? You sit
Yeah.
near Blaber on the other side of the peak?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just chilling.
Is
Yeah, I
he
think that's
actually
fair.
the 2nd best candidate in the league?
I think it's Blaber, but I'm down to be outvoted.
I think it depends on the metrics of what you consider
Yeah,
MVP.
this is where it
first
gets
off.
really, hey, yeah, put him even.
Just put it there. Just put it
All
there.
right, all right.
I want to go as well. Let's roll the telestrator one more time. And Mark, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Danny. Okay, where's Danny face?
Over there.
He's got the haircut now, though.
This guy is actually super underrated. I know that's not like the best way to start an MVP case, but when people do their tier lists, they had Berserker, Hansama, FBI. Everyone's talking about Berserker, Hansama. Yet, this kid is 15 kills ahead of everyone else in the league. he's been in the split. He's been in the LCS for 2 splits. He's led the LCS in kills for 2 splits. His team fighting is actually so incredibly good. The biggest knock you have against Danny is the team gives him a lot of resources. But is that really a knock when he does well with those resources? He gets 5 turret plates. He will carry that game. His Aphelios is super cracked. His Sen is good. He got a pentakill on Zeri earlier. Like, EG has struggled this split, but I don't actually think it's been because of Danny. This kid is actually incredibly, incredibly promising. He is delivering on a lot of the hype. And when you're that far, like, one of my biggest MVP regrets is not voting for Jensen when he had 50 more kills than the rest of the league.
Big agree?
Yeah.
You're speaking my language a little bit.
It's happening to Danny as we speak, and no one's talking about it.
Well, because he's on the 5th place team.
So my
For now.
question to this would be, for AD carries, unfortunately the game does not just start at team fighting. The laning phase matters as well.
Yep.
And I'd be hard-pressed to believe that you'd argue that he'd be a stronger laner than the 3 AD carries that you just mentioned.
No.
So unfortunately for an MVP candidate, at the very least, you have to win like all portions of the game, right? You can't just be a good team fighter. Would you argue he's that great of a laner that he'd win MVP over the 3 AD carries that you are literally said are better than him?
I'm actually.
I would put a Hans or a Berserker a little higher than this, but Danny is underrated, so I'm in this zone.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much you think his laning phase has improved since
That's good right
last year.
there.
What? You guys put Blue at the bottom, Danny goes up there. That's something.
Okay, Blue can go like, they have similar
Poor
records. We can
That's
move
some-
Blue like,
They're like the same placement in the standings too, so you can't just
that good?
whatever. I veto.
good enough.
Kai is very salty.
Where are we
I
putting,
veto.
You know, it's not about you. It's
We're
about
putting
the
Kobe.
player you were handed from me.
I
Where
gotta
is
support the
Kobe?
player.
Who
That's
else
true.
do we have here? We could have
I don't
gotten Hans. Wow, we could have gotten all of
You put
TL
Kobe up
pretty
there?
much.
yeah, Kobe deserves to be up there. He's been at the
What?
LCS since the start.
I put him in the clouds. Kobe's
the clouds?
In the sky.
Kobe's
Yeah,
looking
he's
over? Okay.
commentating
You can
on
chill
sunsets.
on a different peak.
Yeah.
Is there another? What
Oh,
the-
Yeah,
mean,
there are a few
all
other
right.
ones
Put
over
Kobe-
here.
Kobe's just like
Alright.
way over here, just
Yeah.
like floating in the sky.
This is Mount Team Liquid on the other side.
Yeah, what?
They're all-
All of these TL
Over
heads.
here, like, wait a minute, what? We went to the wrong island.
Oh no, Bwipo
They're on
looks
the wrong
depressed.
mountain.
Oh,
He
yeah, his
looks
face
so
is like-
Bjergsen.
sad.
Because he's not at the top
He's
of the
scared
other
he's gonna
ones.
fall. He's been having a bad second half of the split.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Hope people
That
enjoyed
was
the MVP talk. Okay. Anyone going to beat Summit after those cases? It depends. We still have to see 2 more games. I think it's a pretty low chance that Summit doesn't win MVP.
So he had that one bad game against CLG immediately after that Team Liquid game, and I think it might have hurt his chances a little
Was that
bit.
the Gwen game?
I think it was. No. This was like just last week when,
last
when they
week.
lost to TSM.
He
right?
had a Gnar.
yeah,
He had a
he had a
Gnar
down
game
game.
that was pretty rough.
was-
yeah,
yeah, it was
which
that
is
Gnar game.
weird because that's his best
If
champ.
he
but
that
yeah.
happens 2 more times and either Blaber or Closer hard pop off these
Right.
next 2 games, like maybe you have a chance.
If C9 loses hold the first place, I think that matters a little bit, which would require them to lose both games, 100 Thieves to win both games, or Team Liquid to win 1 and then also a tiebreaker. So there's some possibilities
Right.
there that could make it a little complicated. Today's schedule as well. Cloud9 100 Thieves is obviously the big one on the docket, but for me, like TSM COG always matters. Golden Guardians EG has the most playoff implications. We got a lot of fun stuff, but the very first one in that matchup, Biofrost actually gave some of his thoughts on the Spring Titans, Team Liquid.
Team Liquid is just, I feel like Team Liquid has been the same for so many years, where they're just a consistently good team that plays a slow style, and they just play better macro than you, and they make better decisions. They're not the flashiest team, but they make consistently good decisions that kind of add up over time, and you lose. And you're like, oh, why did we lose? Well, it wasn't this one thing. They kind of did all these things correctly throughout the game that led to this point. It's not like it's some chess thing. They're not like gods, but they have a lot of veteran talent, and that can help.
I think it's really interesting that he brought that up because last week in their loss, one thing I did really appreciate was that TL looked like they were trying something else out. It didn't end up working for them, but it was like more of a hard, you know, stomp top lane, stomp early. It was a little bit of a different look for them. And I actually liked that, even though they lost that game.
Yeah, and on Dignitas' side with the playoff implications, they are 0-2 against some of the other bubble teams that they're up against. Like we mentioned earlier, they are 2-0 against Immortals, TSM, and COG, 1-0 against 100 Thieves, and winless against absolutely everyone else. So it is definitely tough for them to pick up wins. It's also hard for them to win tiebreakers if they end up in those situations.
Funnily enough, they kind of want CLG as a team that ends up showing up in there because that's one of the teams that they have a win over.
Yeah.
And then if they get a 3-way tie, that actually benefits them. So Dig is also low-key a CLG fan going forward.
Also, the bot lane here, as we just talked about Biofrost, we have Hansama and CoreJJ. CoreJJ played over half of the split at this point. They have, you know, I'd say they dominate lane early in their core roams, but Biofrost and Neo have definitely done a lot more 2v2 Caitlyn Lux this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I'm looking at the way these two bot lanes match up, we know that Core is just going to leave lane as soon as possible. Jat, you yourself have talked about how, like, you really appreciate how once the lane is set, Core will roam, and that can be super early, especially with Hans and the way he looks at lane.
Yeah.
And then Dig really, really love their 2v2.
Yeah, I really like the way, I think sometimes Core gets misunderstood in how much he roams because he won't roam at good times, right? He doesn't roam because the lane is lost. He roams because the lane is fine or the lane is already won and he can go carry that advantage to the rest of the map. And I agree, that works super well with Hansama in his systematic way he plays the game.
Right. I feel like it's a pretty hard matchup for Dignitas. I was talking with Bwipo yesterday, and unfortunately, he doesn't feel very strongly about the power level of a lot of these top laners that we have in our league. I feel like there might be, you know, some issues that we have top lane, and not only that, the bot side of the map, I don't foresee Dignitas be able to pull a lead over Hansama and CoreJJ, so that allows CoreJJ to leave wherever he wants to affect mid lane, which I do think Dignitas has like an even mid lane at the very least. But now it's not even anymore because their support is there. So if your bottom lane is going even, your top lane is losing, and now your mid lane is losing because bot lane's helping it, you don't have too much going for you until you start taking these team fights. And Dignitas has good team fighting, so hopefully that's enough, but it looks rough.
I feel like a lot of times Dignitas drafts play to like more stable lane states. I would love to see them go against that a little bit here. Like you're saying, bot lane is maybe favored for TL anyways, and that is supposed to be a strong point. So I hope Neo and Bio take a lane that has more playmaking potential, whether that be directly in lane or more about roaming. Grab Bard, I don't care. Grab me something that can go make plays and try and upset a game where you are not the favorite. So go try to find early leads, whether that is more lane dominance or more playmaking.
Yeah, I agree, because I definitely think if they try to do a lane that requires like push and then rotating, like the Caitlyn Lux, TL will be able to counter that pretty easily.
Yeah, I was looking at the last time these teams played, last Super Week, and part of that was to do with Bwipo High. He was player of the game. He was Camille against FakeGod's Gnar. That was also the game that Santorin's Trundle just lived top lane, killed him about 4 times, and they snowballed a like 32-minute victory, 14 kills to 5 pretty smoothly. So Dignitas definitely needs, like, the bottom lane is important, but the soul lane performance that, Mark, you were talking about yesterday, I think would be another clutch factor they have to take. I know all of us are going to be predicting Team Liquid in this game, but I've kind of done this before. What chances do you think Dignitas has if you had to put a number to it?
25%.
25, high?
I mean, I think League of Legends is cool in the fact that no matter how good a team is, they can always lose. And like, you know, a quote-unquote worst team can win. I'd give Dignitas like a solid 35% chance. All it takes is one good Dragonfly. All it takes is one good Rift Herald to get that 2-3K gold lead. And then Dignitas is good enough for a team to be able to drag that lead into, you know, a higher like win percentage chance. So I think 25 is kind of too low for them. I think 35 is extremely reasonable. Even could go higher depending on the draft, but I'd have to see that.
Especially with MVP candidate Blue up there on.
Right. I mean, like I said, there's no MVP candidates on Team Liquid side that we have on the.
They're on the other
you know?
screen. They couldn't stop
They're
on it.
chilling.
They're on a
their
different
own.
mountain. They don't count. You know, we have Blue on our mountain. It's definitely possible. Like, they just need to win that team fight at Dragon or Herald. Hopefully they take those fights and they can snowball early game and take the win.
Another feather in the cap for MVP candidate Blue coming up right
I know,
here.
right? I mean, I'll say this. I think if it had been a week prior and not like with playoffs and seeding on the line, I would have given Dig a little bit more of a chance, actually, because of some of the things I said, especially on draft. Like if TL, you know, had a more early game focused draft again, where they're like obviously trying something out that's a little different. They feel like they can play through every lane. They've said that before. Maybe Dig have a better chance. I'm giving them like 20. I know I'm going, I think, lower than everyone.
That's
fine. But I just think it's kind of a mismatch given how well TL can play around their bot lane, and that's been Dignitas' strength.
All right, sounds good. I'm going to go 30, and that's going to be up for us. So let's roll the show open, dive into Dignitas versus Team Liquid. Take it away.
Hello and welcome back to Super Week. I dressed for the occasion. Dignitas versus Team Liquid about to do battle. And we'll see if you know, Dignitas themselves can rise up in the playoff soup and be, you know, some of that hard-boiled egg on top. Soft-boiled egg, I think, more accurately.
Just keep going. Let's go.
No, it's enough for me.
Nope. Just keep going.
No, I'm waiting for you. I said a line. I let the open-ended so that my co-caster can talk. And you'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to say. Yes, and is the entire point, Azael.
No, but.
No, but.
All right, Dignitas versus TL. You guys see what I'm working with up here? Man's wearing a bowl of soup.
That's true. I'll take it off in between games. It's only on camera. It's a performance, you know. It's not a way of
soup
life.
Doesn't stay on during cast?
Not usually. It's a little warm. I'm already on like 3 layers.
Do you sleep in the soup?
I do not.
No?
No, I do not sleep in the soup.
I can kind of see you even using that like as like a, you know, a shower thing, you know?
I mean, as much as a soup does need like a watery base, you need to keep the proportions in mind. If you water down the soup, the broth becomes less tasty.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well, Dignitas looking for an upset here. 7-9, brutal strength schedule. They lost C9 yesterday. They have TL today. They have 100 Thieves tomorrow. They're going to need at least 1 win, I think, realistically, to try to make it into playoffs. TL, of course, trying to fight for that top of the table standings finish. Looking for first place if C9 could give them some help.
Yep. Did check. They are 0-2 against Golden Guardians. So if CLG doesn't catch up and we sit through a Dig and Golden Guardians sitting at 7 wins, it's Golden Guardian spot and Dig are gone. So either CLG helps out in 3-way ties or Dig must win one of these games.
Yeah, and it's going to be really tough. I mean, they haven't been able to reliably beat teams at the top of the table whatsoever. So I kind of agree with what the desk was talking about. Bring in some variance. Go for some high variance picks here. And Karma to me is not that. You know, I would be more of a fan of like, hey, it's Blitzcrank. Hey, it's Bard. Hey, it's something crazy that if you get hot, you can really take over a game. But we'll see what Dignitas wants to bring out with the rest of their draft. Karma early always makes me think that it's just going to be like Karma Ezreal bot lane. We'll see if they're actually going to move towards that. Karma plus Viego, pretty strong combo. We did see Caps play Karma mid today, so there is a small consideration that it could be in a solo lane, but I'm going to be assuming that it will be bot and very likely paired with Ezreal. That's pretty much always what you see when Karma gets first pick. Ezreal's coming in thereafter. TL on the other side, grabbing the Ahri for Bjergsen, which after some really good games, did get banned out yesterday. It was last week he had 2 really strong Ahri games where I thought Bjergsen was the carry. He wasn't just along for the ride, wasn't just having a mistake-free performance.
Right.
He was the reason they were winning. So they get that back. They get Santorin on the Hecarim. So you've got some strong engage. And we'll see if they're going to try to go with support match here or perhaps just match AD.
Right.
And then be knocked down a little bit in that tier list for support.
Couple things that I've seen that interest me. Number one is the Viego Hecarim matchup. We heard from Inspired yesterday who said he really liked being Hecarim because he can like go and do stuff and fight, and then if anything goes bad, he can just kind of get out. I believe he was saying that Hecarim was the favorite side, unless I'm really misremembering, that Hecarim's happy to get away from stuff, and Viego has a harder time dealing with that. If I'm backwards, sorry, I forgot which one he said, but he likes one of the junglers in this matchup. As I like played over my head, I'm like, well, actually, Viego's not bad. And now I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So
really strong point you have
it's a
there.
really strong point.
Two junglers will enter. One of them might be better than the other.
Yeah.
But you're not sure which.
Inspired really was happy. Whatever.
One of them is a horse.
I can look at the match history for Inspired and be like, oh, he played this one. He liked it. It was a draft gap. So anyway, we'll pick that one up a little bit later. Regardless, what I wanted to point out was the fact that Dignitas, the other part that I actually like more, was they kept hovering mid lane for the Viego pick.
Yeah.
I think trying to be like, oh yeah, it's Karma support. Look at all these mid laners we could play against you. If they're trying to mind game and be like, but it's actually Karma mid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that is the case. TL at least hasn't bought the bait. You know, I think it is just going to be support, but we'll see if that does get changed around. The Sylas ban here, I think, is smart. You already have 3 very powerful ultimates to steal on the TL side. You'd be happy to grab any of those, regardless of what else they do lock in. Whereas for Dignitas, banning out potentially that Lucian top from Bwipo. He did play it once, and it wasn't a loss recently. He played it once earlier in the split and then won on it, but has been actually drawing a fair number of bans. I don't think this is a Hans pick unless he's been bringing it out in scrims because we haven't seen it from him on stage, but clearly people are giving respect over to that Lucian solo lane. Has become a lot more popular over these last couple weeks. The return of a lot of these double marksman comps has been there as a result of that Lucian coming back in, but
right.
Rise banned out. double AD top laners banned out there for Bwipo, so expecting something of that variety from him. This makes me think that FakeGod is just going Gnar. We do have the Ashe here from Hans Sama, so he brought this out already once. I do actually really like Ashe, and I think it makes a lot of sense to be mixing it back in. And again, TL is going very heavy on the hard engage. They did this yesterday, I believe, with it was like Ornn, Nautilus, and maybe Ashe as well, if I'm recalling correctly. I think it was Trundle and then Ashe on top of that.
Yeah.
So they had very, very heavy hard engage. That game, it was like Bjergsen on Victor, I believe. So a little bit of a different kind of profile, but they've really been loving the hard engage. Dignitas go the Gnar as expected with those double AD bans top. That is kind of pretty obvious. They are moving towards this. Bwipo has not really been the Aurelia guy to try to punish in this matchup. Yesterday, he actually took Ornn in this matchup in this exact same situation with the same bans in round 2. So he could just go right back to what they did yesterday with the Ornn here. But of course, there is always that chance of going for one of the aggressive melee matchups. We just haven't seen any Aurelia really from Bwipo. So if he were to go something a bit more aggressive, I think it might be something along the lines of a Camille to be able to kind of have that gank assist. GP would make sense if you want to play just kind of to survive and play cross map, help set up those engages with the ulti.
Yeah, and it's just finding more ways to say, yeah, we're going to help engage. And this allows him to be part of a dive composition while playing for split push. Keep in mind, right, Ahri starts fights out, Hecarim actually dives, Ahri actually dives. So adding an extra spell on top of, backline access, definitely pretty valuable. I think it does fit what the TL comp is trying to do.
Absolutely. And I think this is, again, a situation kind of back-to-back days now where TL is basically throwing down the gauntlet and saying, you got to beat us early. Because I think that TL just pretty much auto wins late with this kind of composition. I think that their 5v5 is incredibly powerful into what Dignitas has actually drafted, and TL has shown just yesterday against the Gnar that they will punish you if your Gnar bar is not ready. LeTigress got punished constantly for that. Dignitas are going to have to turn in a strong early game here. We'll see if they can do it.
Ezreal Karma in the bottom lane. They're going to push for the fences early on. Can they do it? Let's find out. And here we are. Welcome to game 1 of day 2 of Super Week. Dignitas fighting for their lives. They don't get help. They must win a game to make playoffs. And it starts here with Team Liquid, the current second-seeded team. They could catch and surpass Cloud9 if the latter were to drop a game. Right now, Dignitas walking through a ward uninnovated into the bottom side.
Like they actually are kind of down to scrap. They're moving Bwipo down. They're in a 5-man stack in this brush, expecting that Dignitas might wrap around.
Okay, so this is smart.
Yeah,
so
this is recall.
Invades 102. Obviously, stick together, do the thing, put the ward down. If it's before a minute, recall out of the invade, do not walk out of the invade, because they probably haven't warded the brush in their own jungle, so they don't know for certain where you've gone if you get the recall. So TL sets this big trap, and yes, they'll get to lanes on time, right? But if they walked back out, you might walk by the mid lane. Oops, you get caught with a hook.
Yeah.
You walk down to the bottom lane. They see you on the ward, and your tempo's off. Like,
look at this. This is kind of clever, just how they're expecting where that ward was. So they were actually hiding away from that division of that ward until the last second to try to delay information on the start. Of course, that information will still be there. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think both teams played it appropriately. I was talking about this yesterday during the cast, but we've been seeing so many more 5-man level 1s, which I actually just think is correct to mix this in. And hook does land. We'll see how much this trade is going to be on Bio.
Pretty solid. Bio's out of potion already, and we'll see if he's got biscuits for more later on. But if he does have more sustain, then he can trade his health bar for someone else's. And if CoreJJ's at half HP, it's a glacial Nautilus. You can focus that champion.
Yep.
And River already 2 camps in, walking through the mid lane. I believe
he's going to enemy red, I think.
Spotted.
Yeah, it won't be spotted, but he will be spotted walking in past this ward. And now the question is, do they actually try to collapse? So right now he's trying to go into the brush, perhaps? No, he's just going to try to take away the Raptors. But this is a weird invade because Santorin's already here, has already done the 3 camps. Neither of them have smite, so they're just kind of battling for it, but Santorin can just reset this way.
But he's going to find the stun into the follow-through, and of course with Ghost, you can't get away from it, so if the chains land and the CC's there, they'll kill him. Trying to get right back in, need one more shot, and they find it, first blood, and a corpse for Viego. Thank you for the kingdom. It's going to be mine now.
Yeah, River's going to be able to take away the camp and get the red buff. Blue gets the kill and a blue buff here. That is a massive start for Dignitas. Santorin just felt way overconfident. Bjergsen hadn't moved yet, and he was just taking the scrap. He was up a level, but it is a red buff Viego there, so you've got to be paying that respect over to the power of this champion, and Blue moved way faster, so it just felt like he was kind of underestimating the situation. You know, I didn't think it was going to work because I thought that TL would play it out a little bit more slowly. Bjergsen would move over, and they would kind of recapture their jungle, being up a level on the Hecarim, but instead, it felt like Santorin just went straight for it, thinking he would actually be able to win out on this fight. They spot him going in. He pushes him out immediately, but Bjergsen is at the tower, has already spent his charm here, and when Blue moves over, Bjergsen is not moving. He's not going to be able to actually get there, so you have got to be running immediately. But at this point, it feels like it's too late. As you said, he has no flash. He is on the Ghost. It seemed like he was kind of trying to sidestep a chain or something, but Blue actually didn't even have level 3, so he didn't even have chain available.
Really walk in a straight line and you're fine.
Yeah, so I think a lot of misplays, honestly, from TL in that one. Santorin could have walked straight out. He was giving the respect that he had chains. I think that's why he's behind the Raptors, but just didn't realize that LeBlanc wasn't even level 3.
Right, River already flashed stun. He burned the Q. You know, Blue just has QW. That is basic LeBlanc, you know, skill orders right there. So yeah, it's playing around something that's not really there. I mean, hey, how often do you get level 2 invaded by a LeBlanc on Raptors? And I like that Dig went for the aggressive play. And hey, you know, at worst, they get a camp before Summoner, right? At best, they also get First Blood. And now a play towards the bottom side. They're going to look in. The flash in for the chain. They're going to get the root. Is Han someone going to die? Ignite is on as well. They land the long-range stun from River. And they're going to knock him down as well. Dignitas, fighting for their lives, have taken 2.
Oh, River lands the stun around CoreJJ, who wasn't able to block it. Great angle there to actually land that. Bio with just a straight up flash in. TL had the wards, but Bio with the tether flashes to keep it leashed there. Dignitas aggressive start. And this is why you go for those aggressive plays here. You force your opponent to make the correct response. And there are times where it's not a situation that you're used to. That invade is a great example. As you said, how many times you get level 2 invaded by the LeBlanc, level 2 invaded by a Viego cross map in this situation, wasn't responded to appropriately. All of a sudden, Dignitas 2 kills across the map, up 1,000 gold here early on. Things looking really good for them.
I will say the first power spike does come through for Bwipo. Sheen plus a Cole, refill the potion. Happy to land on this for a while. He's trying to stack up Grasp. Has actually CS pretty well. He'll be up against FakeGod. The question is, will the farm matter or will the TP lead matter? Because FakeGod, for now, still has control over the lane. Hecarim is topside going to his Prugs now for Santorin. Still only level 4, so a while till he can get that ulti to make the dives really look good. And we'll see this repeat play towards the bottom side. Blue tries to scrap with Bjergsen, does not land the chain.
Yeah, nice little attempt. He got 6 first, so he was trying to look for that chain. If you do actually connect with the chain, then you can use the ulti there as well. And FakeGod, I think he's just going to probably ult this wave even. You know, this is just one where you need to get it reset. You haven't actually TP'd back. Ult the wave. Now back it up. We'll see though. Bwipo hit 6, so he could potentially have gone for that. I think it would be a flash for flash in that scenario. I think that's probably the best you get.
Yeah.
Because if you drop the ulti and then you flash for a Q, that's going to be the most you get. But it looked like FakeGod still had about 250, 300 health. I don't think it would be enough to kill him.
Yeah, like it's a good play if your ult forces flash and your ult for flash and you got a 2-minute cooldown window to like go again later. And that's maybe worthwhile, but you know, is Gnar's flash going to matter in the next 5 minutes? Maybe not. You're not really diving him.
And when you're playing the GP side of this matchup and you have a call, like, you're happy, right? You're kind of chilling. So I think he's happy to push him out of lane there. Of course, FakeGod was going to get the reset, and he didn't know where Viego was either. That's the other aspect of it. So if you try to look for a flash follow and you die, then it ends up being pretty rough. Santorin, though, has wrapped behind. He is not level 6, but no flash on Biofrost. He should be dead.
Ooh, flash Q. Here comes the horsey, and Biofrost doesn't have a way out. Hand the kill over. It goes to Hansama. Well done. Ignite does not steal the kill. And 300 now gold back on the AD carry of Team Liquid.
Really nice pathing from Santorin. You know, they should have had the idea that there was a ward in the tri-brush. He very clearly played around it. He never stepped in vision of that. just waits behind. They go for the easy target. They punish the missing summoner. This is really kind of just jungling 101 there. You know, when the summoners are down, attack those players, get the force in.
Yep.
And it's a really nice job from TL to also give that over to Hans because there's no escaping that from Karma.
Yeah, okay, nice play right here. Charm is going to land. Blue does not quite get over Q2, though, from Bjergsen. Ults the W for damage, but doesn't quite get over the orb. Pretty heavy trade on both sides, going through potions now, corrupting on both players, so they'll get their health bars back up. But yeah, something that I think we can spend some time talking about is a lot of good play is aggressive play, right? It's failing to punish a cooldown or failing to go for a dive is a misplay. It doesn't look like a difference in the scoreboard. You don't suddenly have a solo death and it looks bad. But going for those plays, they're often 90-10, right? And once in a while, it's turned around because a freak accident happens. But yeah, good to see the aggressive plays. Okay, flash down, we go for the play. We burn the ghost. We make sure we get the kill. We go in for that one. Good to see those plays.
And I think one of the things that doesn't really get talked about a lot is I kind of look at when you're making an aggressive play and your opponent doesn't respond correctly, that is not an unforced error. That is a forced error. That is something that you created, right? And that is one of the advantages of very skilled players playing aggressively is that they can force mistakes out of their opponents because they're putting them in uncomfortable situations. They're making them respond to things that they weren't necessarily expecting. Because a lot of what looks like reaction time is really an understanding of the play and just kind of running through the script. You look for this, you do that.
Right.
But when you put them in weird spots, people have to think on the fly, and that can be very, very difficult.
Right. A LeBlanc jumped on me. I should juke the chain. Oh,
Yep.
it's level 2. I haven't. This is not normal, right?
Exactly.
Yes, in
Santorin
hindsight-
has that built into his head. If he
Right.
watches this back, he's like, yes, obviously I just walk out.
Yeah.
But in the moment, LeBlanc jumps on you, chain is coming. That is built in over thousands and thousands of games.
Yep.
He tried to juke it, gets punished.
To be fair, Blue did miss the chain in that fight. There were no
There you
chains
go.
hit, so, who's really the smart one here? But Team Liquid have actually clawed their way back into the gold lead. Obviously, Bwipo
Power
doing-
of TL, man.
Yeah, I mean, they are just, player different in some cases. Even though the CS isn't obvious in any given location, obviously Cole matters a little bit.
Two plates bot as well.
And yeah, the bot lane kind of crushed right here where the plates are going through, and that's obviously very valuable.
Yeah, it's one of the things is so big in League is it's not just getting a kill, it's where the lane is when you kill them, right? And in that situation, they're able to actually have the push, so they kill off Bio. Neo is in a 1v3, so he can't hold the wave, so that means he has to back up, he has to lose that farm, and also it allowed them to get the 2 plates, right? So that gives a lot of gold over to Hansama. Of course, GP kind of printing money here. He hasn't cashed in that call, but does have that passive gold from the parlay. And Bwipo going to be in a pretty comfortable spot. And I do really believe that Dignitas have to continue to keep that pressure up. They need to be playing, I think, with an advantage. You don't want GP to just be chilling in a side lane, ulting cross map, because once Hans is 6, as he is now, they can just start looking for plays. Rinse and repeat, GP ulti goes down, Ashe ult comes out. You have so much follow-up with the Hecarim ulti, with the Nautilus ulti, that if you hit one of these squishy targets in the bot side, they're just going to die. There is no cleanse on Ezreal, so any CC connects, the follow-up should be there, and it should be 100-0.
Good mind getting the Bwipo there. Gets FakeGod to burn the jump. Gets the barrels a little bit later for some minion damage, but overall is kind of crushing this lane now. FakeGod, we watched the last minute or so, is playing so much on the back foot in this lane. Will drop CS and is now going to drop his life. He will have Mega Gnar, has flash as well, but here comes the dive. Gonna ult 2 into the wall, the stun as well, and just goes right back in! The man solo kills Bjergsen! Bwipo's gonna drop as well, and FakeGod says calculate that 2-for-1 Dignitas.
Man, the flash from FakeGod there was so good. Flashing the charm and getting the insta ulti, but there's the arrow on bot side.
They gotta try to go onto Hansan, but it's not really gonna happen here. Biofrost gets the chain down, but burns, and the arrows push him in. A song of fire and ice down here, and Dignitas running away for their lives.
Nicely done by TL, getting something back on the bot side, but 4 plates out of mid lane as well, so Dignitas really fighting back. Looked like it could have been a pretty routine dive pulled off, were it not for that flash from FakeGod, avoiding the charm, getting the double Mega Gnar into the wall there. Bought a lot of time. Blue arrives. That one goes in their favor. They do lose out on the other side, but thankfully, River intelligently covering mid, pushing that out, dropping the Herald at the same time. When your mid has to go top, it's your job to cover that lane. So we can watch this one more time. They aren't spotted on vision, but they know mid lane is missing. And you pointed out, FakeGod was about to Gnar out. That was the difference maker that allows them to have a chance here. Flashing the charm and the Q, actually, both of those do miss. He gets the double wall up after the stun of the wall, connects with his boulder toss there at the Q as well, and then Blue arriving finishes off Bwipo. Really nicely played. He's like, hold on.
Yeah.
You don't get to dive me that easy.
Yeah. Well done. Good play. I mean, FakeGod has gotten a lot of flack. Of course, he's looked like one of the weak points of Dignitas, and it's good to see that, look, backs against the wall, you really can step up. That had some really impression now fighting back against Bwipo with obviously the kill to his name, gets a bit of extra gold. Does a bit of something there on his way towards his next piece of damage. I think that's the Sunderer build path, if I recall correctly. Either way, we're knocking to the minions and pushing forward. Actually, that's Hullbreaker build path, so probably going there for split push power.
Yeah, it would be a little bit weird to see Hullbreaker Gnar again, I think. I mean, you do, when you go Mega Gnar, I guess you get the full stats, but like, I just don't think it's that strong on range champions anymore, personally. We'll see. We'll see where he does end up completing, but it does look like that. Bwipo, probably working towards his Triforce here.
Yeah.
Santorin clearing up towards top, so there is going to be a chance of a repeat towards FakeGod, who, you know, is in mini right now, doesn't have flash. They could try to look to punish that missing summoner. Well, yes, it did go Dignitas' way. That flash is still going to be down, and no one on TL side spent theirs.
All right, pretty good ulti. Ezreal's going to tag a couple. They're going to look for a stun, but not going to land anything on a CoreJJ, so a Lantern and an E to safety. TL's bot lane gets out, no problem. Next dragon spawns in 45 seconds. TL got the first one at about 9 minutes into the game.
Here's the wraparound, potentially trying to punish this flash here. We'll see if they can get it.
Gonna trade down, should have a barrel pretty soon. Nice, knocks the barrel down, but nowhere much to go. Ulti gonna be available, I believe. And then puts him into the wall, almost has the damage, but not quite. Gets Santorin to put in the charge at the very end. And no trade of kills. Neo dropped dangerously low as the ults had come through for TL a little bit ago. No deaths on the bottom side, but yeah, TL farming a bit more gold up top.
Yep, nicely done. They were trying to hold on to the Hecarim ult and just not spend it, you know, see if they could get the kill without it, but realizing it was getting a little bit dicey, Santorin does have to actually use that ulti. Either way, still a good kill. They know the flash is down. That was the advantage, and again, Santorin has done a great job punishing missing summoners. He punishes Biofrost early on after they got the kill there, then missing flash from the dive. They punish FakeGod up on that top side, but Dignitas striking back on the bot side. They will be able to take this dragon, and they are keeping it relatively close.
Yeah, I mean, we're still 300 gold apart, and we've got one dragon to one. Now, you had mentioned in Champ Select that you favor Team Liquid in the late game team fights, saying, hey, come to us early, it's not going to happen. TP to the bot side, Neo at half HP, no flash, no heal. Ahri's on the way in, gets the root, GP on the top, and sadly, Hansama sets it up in a 7-10 split. The shots go both ways. Equilibrium here on display as Bjergsen knocks down 2.
Oh, what a teleport from Bjergsen. I don't think they were expecting that one at all. Not even a minute past the unleash of the teleport, finds the angle to get down to that bot side. Blue, again, will punish. Dignitas has been good at actually punching back on other sides of the map. They get first tower mid. They had already put the Herald down there earlier, so it was softened up. And now they're rotating towards top, but TL has the read. Core and Bjergsen out of base, sprinting towards top, so Dignitas won't be able to find a play there, but they should be able to grab the Herald and continue to try to fight back here. But that was just a really nice TP play. The Everfrost connected on Neo. The Charm connects on Biofrost, so we kind of CCs up both. They kill off Biofrost, and then Hansama hits the arrow onto Neo, who had no flash, who had no shift at that point, allowing Bjergsen to dash back in off of the kill reset, I believe, there. And we can see this in the Rocket Flip the Switch replay. Bjergsen coming in from the top left of your screen, and he goes. Everfrost lands on Neo. The Charm connects there. The hook to follow it up. The arrow over the top in the GP ulti, so you're slowed. You can't actually sidestep that very easily. Really well coordinated play from Team Liquid. And Bjergsen, again, impressing on the Ahri. This is 3 straight Ahri games where I think he's looked damn good.
Yeah, really impressive stuff right there. Maybe down in CS, but who cares? He's getting a lot done elsewhere.
A lot.
Yeah, he's been moving around, and obviously half of the kill participation on his team doing well. Hans, Ashe, I agree, looks nice. The new faster arrows, I gotta say, pretty satisfying to shoot out, and I'm glad to see people picking it up. I want to point out that this draft didn't have Jinx or Aphelios banned or picked.
It's a miracle.
Off those. There were some nerfs, right? It's not just people decided they don't want to play champion anymore. There were some very late nerfs in those cases, but yeah, good to see some more variety in the bottom lane. Does feel a bit more open, which I'm happy about. As the Raptor camp goes down, arrow is not gonna land here. We'll see that later on today, though, when Immortals takes the stage. In the meantime, Team Liquid waiting
I don't think we will. Wasn't Turtle in yesterday? We'll have to see.
I think they announced that it's back to Destiny and
So they're mixing it up.
Yeah.
Well, TL pushing here on that bottom side, trying to put some pressure down. Dignitas have control of the top side here. They're moving up towards Bwipo. You can see Bwipo has already backed off. And TL are just trying to push them in here and just do the same thing that's happened to Bwipo, to Blue.
And that's going to be a bot lane turret going down. Yeah, Blue going to be on the backside here. Would have loved to steal around 70 gold with the distortion on that one, but can't land it. And it is going to be top lane turret dying. So Hullbreaker is giving it some value. And I will say, to my side, or sort of to defend FakeGod's build, I think Gnar is one of the champions, range champions, who still does, I think, like Hullbreaker pretty well. Yeah. He doesn't have a lot of extra stat synergies. Like, if you're a Graves, right? Oh, getting crit matters, getting more lethality armor pen matters because, like, you are kind of a burst mage or a big marksman. Like, you want multipliers. Gnar just kind of stacks health and AD, and, like, not much other than those stats, and like this is a pretty good source of both those stats.
Yeah, I mean it's not a horrible item by any means, but I just kind of am more of a fan of just like Triforce and tank or something along those lines. I think Triforce gets it done in lane. I think especially if you're not dominating through sides, you're not getting a lot of an advantage from the actual buffing up of the cannon and the additional damage there. It's not bad. But my preference is just go Triforce, go into pure tank. You're going to be more effective in the team fights, which is usually where Gnar is going to get things done anyway.
Fair enough. Well, he's on towards the Mythic now with the Sheen of the Kindle Gem, so we'll see that one completed. Before too long, good sidestep, just barely. That was, I believe, shot from Fog, because Core's already sweeping. The flash charm comes over the wall, and there's no way out. Neo cannot dodge that bullet. The Hecarim over the top as well, wants a little bit more. Down goes Biofrost, and there's not much of a fight left. FakeGod TP's in, but he's mini-Gnar. He's 3v5, but he's not getting anything done.
Man, TL has just done such a good job at punishing this squishy bot lane. They don't have anyone to kind of face check safely. There is no real tank here on Dignitas besides FakeGod, who is not with the squad, so they're trying to play for vision. Yes, the arrow does miss, but I believe it was Charm Flash there from Bjergsen right over the wall. Connects instantly. They have Hecarim to follow up. They have Nautilus to follow up. They have the Ashe slows. They have the GPLT. They have so many tools that if you are caught out of position at all as Dignitas, there's no getting away from this TL squad. It is going to be really, really hard for them to actually play around that because TL has been very aggressive. And as Bjergsen picks up more and more of these picks, he is just going to be way ahead. So they miss the arrow, they retreat back. Bjergsen was spotted, but yeah, just Charm Flash. You can see Neo did get the E off in time, but the Charm had already connected, so it just kind of, he's charmed on the other side, pulled back in, which is even worse. The instant GP ulti on top, so you're slowed. There's no flash on him, so there's nowhere from him to go. Another Herald does get dropped, though, for Dig, so they're going to be able to grab the dragon. They're going to be able to at least get a lot of damage down on this tower. They do have 2 dragons in their favor, so they're working towards that, but TL extending the gold lead, and we'll see if they can pull off this dive. There's no flash on, or rather no ulti.
Okay, no wave, walks right in. This is going to be a lot of pain out of poor Bwipo there. Doesn't have a way out. The last bit of damage, flashes, wants the kill. Blue has to flash and drop turret dagger. That may have killed him. I don't think it would have done 600, but better safe than sorry in this case. Gets out as TL plays for the top set of the map. Knocked down a turret. Dignitas getting a lot done on the bottom.
Yeah, they are, and it's been kind of just TL leaving Bwipo alone on the weak side of the map for a lot of this game. He's actually going to go Hullbreaker as well, so he wants to play heavily through the side lanes, and he, of course, is playing the full strength version, is not Nerf for melee champions. But despite the pressure that has been on Bwipo for the last, I want to say 5-6 minutes, where it feels like he has been kind of weak side of the map, he's still nearly at 10 CS per minute. He has completed 2 items. He's cashed out his cull. The GP is not really being held down, but Dignitas have been scrappy about getting gold back. Anytime TL moves elsewhere, they're trying to punish, and I have liked their movements with that. And in particular, Blue and River have been very good about trying to knock down these towers as quickly as possible if TL moves elsewhere for a play.
For sure. Fan rents are in on Ashe. Gotta say, move speed feels very good on that champion. You pretty much always run the approach velocity as well, and you're kind of zipping around, and yeah, feels really, really good. If you needed more tank busting, could have obviously gone for like a Kraken Slayer instead of the Gale Force, but don't dislike the mobility. Getting away from a Karma route or LeBlanc whatnot. Like, this is gonna have enough damage, so I actually like this build quite a bit. Towards I'm hoping Infinity Edge third.
Yeah, and I think that it's not like there's no pure tank really on the side of Dignitas, so I don't think you need to absolutely maximize there. And these top level players just use Gale Force so effectively. I feel like it's basically another flash for them. So being able to really get a lot of value out on it. Blue laying in wait here, but as Bjergsen checks with Charm, he will have to retreat.
Ow! Pad the stats. Neo adds a little bit more to his DPM as Bjergsen's health regen now is going to kick in.
Worth pointing out, Blue did go a very aggressive option here. Shadowflame second, I love it. You know, he is the sole AP threat on his team, so there's no MR, really, on the other side whatsoever that I see. You know, yes, there is a little bit in the Aegis on TL for CoreJJ, but that's it.
Yep.
And, you know, he has a lot of flat pen here. Has the Sorks, has the Shadowflame, early Ludens, has the potential to swing this game, right? You know, he's kind of the X factor now. He has 3 kills. If you can kill off Ashe, or you can kill off, you know, the GP or someone like that really, really quickly, then there is an opportunity for you to win a team fight. But barring that, I just don't see them winning a scrap.
Yeah, and I like Shadowflame for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's a good flat pen item. He's just stacking flat magic pen to try to kill backline. Like, that is your goal as LeBlanc, right? A win condition is not, well, I worked through the Hecarim and Nautilus eventually. Like, that's not a good fight. It's like, well, I one-shot the Ashe. I'm stacking flat pen. But one thing I really like about Shadowflame is that it has 300 health on it. You're assassin for assassin in the mid lane. Guess what? Ahri's damage matters, and having 20% more health means you have a 20% lower chance of dying. Fuzzy math, but like, you have a much lower chance at dying if she goes back on you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the health is for sure valuable, you know, and there's a lot of CC, so it's a scary game to be LeBlanc, right? It's not one of those games where you can kind of just like W in just for free, not even worried, right? Because if you W in for a trade, like if you go in for a WQR, which is that kind of common little poke combo, and you get Ashe ulted or charmed or anything, you are just dead.
Looking forward to Bjergsen. The chase is through. They land everything. The burn is not going to be enough. Eats a potion. Just gets out the flash to safety. The slimmest of margins. The cosmic drive. Health is enough.
Man, Blue absolutely was lighting him up, though. Bjergsen trying to play for the scuttle. Didn't have vision around there. Does get punished for it. Ulti and flash are going to have to be expended. Dignitas still pressing. They need to keep playing for vision denial. It's so important when you're playing around your fed LeBlanc. You must deny coverage. You must have LeBlanc playing in fog. Make TL scared to walk into these brushes. That's really where Blue will be able to excel.
Knocks down the wards, and now the vision is gone around this Baron pit. Next dragon spotting soon. It would be the 3rd for Dignitas as they would work towards Mountain Soul. Last I looked at the stats, 2nd winningest Dragon Soul in the game, at least for solo queue. I have to double check because I haven't looked since the nerfs to Hex Tech, but regardless, that would stymie a lot of Ahri and LeBlanc's game plans.
Yeah, the flat pen really does kind of feel a lot worse when people get, you know, 2 or 3 of those Mountain Dragons in there, plus the Mountain Soul Shield. Blue, though,
is in for the pretty tanky Hecarim. A little bit of a chunk goes right back out. Now 50 seconds to go. Doesn't burn many important cooldowns. Does have an ult right now actually down and will be gone for the start of the team fight if it happens right away. But a solid poke from the Ezreal, though. No good way to sustain it for now.
It's all about the poke for Dignitas. They've got to soften them up. You have to have Blue as well as Neo constantly poking away at them, chipping away, because TL are just going to look for the hard engage. We'll see if they commit to it right now.
FakeGod's timed it well. He's got Gnar ready to go. LeBlanc over the wall looking for Santorin. Will not go in for the play. Soul point now. Now does FakeGod go in? They're going to have River jump in. Ulti to the back line. Hecarim dives over 1 for 0 so far. TL just going to cut him to pieces. It's time to run away. And Dignitas it all away. Only one left alive. Neo's burning, and now a Baron is gonna be a freebie.
Yeah, they're gonna go right over to Baron. Dig got the dragon, but they wanted more. They had FakeGod in the Gnar, but they get punished so hard for trying to go for it. TL has such a massive amount of CC that when they commit to that, they're just getting locked down, burst down. TL take the fight, they take the Baron, they take the mid lane tower. It's gonna be over 5,000 gold in the advantage now, and it's gonna be hard for Dignitas to ever make good on all those dragons that they've stacked up.
Yeah, good luck sneaking the next one. This is definitely a Baron. It's gonna be picked up onto all 5. Gold lead grows to nearly 6,000. Watch this again.
Yeah, it's really just all about the engage here. You know, Dignitas, really good job actually having Blue. He connects the chain, and he's kind of just zoning Santorin out. He keeps him away. They get the smite down, but FakeGod, I think, is calling here. We can go for this. River, though, actually misses the stun. He goes for an angle on the Gnar. It gets actually stopwatch there by Bjergsen. Only Bwipo gets hit into the wall, who has oranges. The others just get pushed away, so it's kind of an awkward angle on the Gnar ulti there. And a really nice stasis from Bjergsen avoiding it. So you only got Bwipo. It doesn't really accomplish much. TL turn around, dropping all the CC, the Hecarim ulti coming through, the Nautilus ulti, the GP ulti, all of them get dropped. Did get locked down and just burst down immediately.
And now they gotta lick the runes and find some way to come back into this one. They know, all right, look, if you just donate us that last dragon, the scoreboard looks pretty close, actually. 5K versus Soul, it's a close game, all things considered. But you have to make that happen with that 5K deficit right now, and that's a tough sell.
And I think it's also just difficult because they need to 5v5 for the Dragon, and I think TL have a much better 5v5 comp here. They have so much engage, so many ways to go in and really punish Dig if they mess up whatsoever, as we just saw. Plus, a lot of key items have come through now. 3 items on their top laner, 3 items on Bjergsen, 3 items on Hansama. He has the IE as well. So TL is really, really fed. It's all up to Blue. He's got to find some sort of a pick.
Oh, we're gonna find a little bit here. Bjergsen gets stunned up, and they can't finish the kill, and now they're diving on towards this poor Viego, who gets back to safety, to be honest. Gets out, stays alive. Withstanding one of those plays is pretty important here. Dignitas just kind of need to wait out the Baron. But on the other side of the map, guess what? Bwipo was only there with an ulti. He was still pushing bot lane, and one turret falls.
And he has the Ravenous Hydra, which means Gnar is never going to push you out of lane at that point as the GP. Has a really nice split push setup. Triforce, Hullbreaker, Ravenous Hydra, allows you to sustain, continuously poke, increases the wave clear, push in, you get that CDR. He's buying up even more on top of this so we can continuously cross-map ball to help out the team. Level 16 now too, so things looking really, really good. And TL just want to continue to play around their ulti timers. Every time the ultimates are up, that is how TL's comp functions. You look for the engage, you follow up with your ultimates, and you try to get those kills.
Looking for a little bit more. Red Bull Baron buff power play 2600, basically just the Baron plus a turret and change, some waves, and 30 seconds left on that one. They can maybe find one more to turn in. Yeah, 7K. They can maybe go for top tier 2 just in time with 20 seconds, like at the end of the buff basically, and then reset at the very end of it, and that's going to be the 1 minute timer until the fight for defending Dragon Soul.
Yep, and that's going to be a really nice time to actually get back to base. They're going to have plenty of time to spend all of their gold. They're not going to be caught on a weird reset here. Get their vision down, prepare for this big dragon fight, and we'll see if Dignitas even want to go for it. Because if they don't have vision in the area, I don't know that they're going to want to walk in blind and even try to contest. They may just try to turtle up and hope that there's a better opportunity later off of a pick. But it's definitely going to be a tough one because for now, they've been pinned in their base for so long, they just have no vision, right? You know, there's nothing in this whole quadrant of the map. They have one little blue trinket in that area, so they've got to just face check bush after bush after bush. They need to have FakeGod push this out and then group with the team because realistically, I think he's the only one that can actually safely check through. You can try to use Ezreal Qs and Karma Qs and stuff to check, but if you're that close, you can easily get Ashe arrowed or Nautilus hooked and just die.
Yep, and here they go. Bottom jungle belong to Team Liquid. Thank you for the vision toggle. Thank you. That is exactly what Dignitas sees, which is we're gonna wait a while. You know what? We'll try for the dragon in 5 minutes from here. This one's yours. There's no way you can really fight for that. You're not giving up much. You're gonna get the dragon anyway. So TL is incrementing their lead by 400 gold in stats realistically. Like not that much changes. They'll wait for the next opportunity.
Yeah, you can see Viego going towards top side. They're hoping to get a tier 2 off of this. Blue has just been pushing up top. We're seeing the Viego try to at least get away a camp or something. I don't think they're even going to be able to actually finish the tier 2. At the very least, they do push in the minions. They'll deny a little bit of farm here, steal away a camp. So Dignitas just trying to play for scraps at this point. They know they can't really contest in the straight up 1v1. And the Maw comes through for Bwipo. You can see it's a wit's end angle now for Hansama. So TL is starting to pick up more MR. Verdant Barrier as well for Bjergsen. They're all saying, how do we possibly lose this game? Well, LeBlanc one-shots us. So what do? Everyone starts building MR. All the carries are building MR now for TL, which I just think is intelligent. They don't need more damage. They have more than enough. They're monstrously ahead. Only way you lose is getting 100-0 by LeBlanc.
Pretty much here. So Blue is on death cap though. It's going to feel pretty good. Maybe a Void Staff 4th now since there is finally MR. Okay, now that I've seen it, I should build the components and that'll synergize well with the build he's got. Still is going to be threatening. I'll guess he does at least half a Hansama's health even through a Wit's End. In just like a sort of a QR-E combo. I think you probably need to pop the other mark. But a very, very large threat and went for the earliest spike possible, which also made sense based on the game plan. Baron up at 35.
It's just so hard because when your opponents are ahead, you need the full combo. Like you need the distortion damage, you need the chain to pop, you need everything, and you can't actually hang around for the chain to connect when they have this much CC. So really all you can do is W in, QR, immediately snap back after the initial poke of that chain. Because if you hang around, you're gonna get arrow.
Okay, cleanse away, gonna stay alive. Santorin gonna dive in, not much of fear, but does get one. A hop back for the mini Gnar, and actually decent damage here, but Bjergsen is unstoppable. He has deleted Biofrost. Blue jumps back, but he's still getting shot down. Will it they pick the right target? Yes, they will. Bwipo finds the kill on a blue now as well. Dignitas, 3 versus 5. The fight starts. The fight is ended by Teal getting 2 kills.
Yeah, they get the kills so quickly, and they're to go forward. Flash charm.
That's down to FakeGod. A good Mega Gnar, a flash of safety. Hecarim will not be able to dive this turret. Charm will not land either, but still, this base will fall.
Nicely done. TL gonna knock down the tower, retreat to the Baron here. River still alive, gonna try to catch Bwipo, who was late on the retreat, but the stun misses, and he should be A-okay.
Can't get much of the vision anymore. They know Bjergsen's right there, clearing that ward. All right, if I follow that one, nothing good happens. Baron gonna be claimed now as well. A good pick by TL. They saw the opportunity, they went for it. It was a clean 2-0. That's not gonna be a steal, nice try. And all you can do is pad the stats, but it adds an assist to the list, and Baron is claimed, last hit by Hansama.
Really nicely done by TL. They've played out the last 15 minutes of this game so incredibly cleanly. The arrow comes through. Nice buffer on the E there from Neo, gets away. But on the other side, it's Bjergsen. The Nautilus ult lands. He waits for the Nautilus ult to actually connect on the Karma, and then just full combo out of it. There's no outplaying that from Biofrost. It's the power of the CC. At the same time, Bwipo chasing down Blue. Him and Bjergsen pairing up to knock him down. The other 3 do escape from Dignitas, but with Biofrost down, with Blue down, there's no winning out in the fight. So again, TL on the push here with the Baron buff, 2.5 minutes of that Baron action. Gonna be shoving in on multiple sides. They're gonna play through 2 lanes here. Bwipo on one side pushing in, they have Bjergsen pushing in the other, and they have a 3-man squad with all their CC hanging out in the middle.
Here's the push forward now yet again, over the wall. Blue looking for the poke. Yeah, you can always throw, E or Q, whatever, and then just W back before the lantern ever hits you or the hook ever hits you, and you're gonna be fine. No anchors to get that one, and they're still forced to run away as TL shoves the control wards forward. 3 different brush, looks like. It's gonna be all warded up, one over the wall as well to make sure the base gate doesn't do anything special. And Core knows they're not on any wards either.
He wants the arrow from Fog. He's trying to find an angle here to hit someone.
Yeah, this is a pretty squishy LeBlanc build. Has gone for the most damage possible, but a health, and that's it. Ezreal's gonna land at a 2. Someone dropped a bit low, 1400. You'd love to get on that one. They don't have any good safety tools, right? There's no locket, there's no Tom Kench, but you can't really reach as CoreJJ would lock your LeBlanc down the whole time. Bit of poke can try, not gonna find the stun either for River. Gets away from the anchor. Flippo shoves in the mid lane. That split push working very, very well. Poolbreaker still active. Bottom hitter drops as well. Dignitas gonna keep dropping bits of the base during the Baron buff and wait and wait and wait and try to find that opening later.
Yep, and TL again just gonna reset, be there on time for Dragon. They're not staying out on the map longer than they have to. They're just slowly grinding Dignitas out of this game, taking no chances, nearly a 10,000 gold lead at this point. Everyone resets, spends up that gold, gets out here, try to take another Dragon, put themselves at soul point as well. While Bwipo is pushing out top, they're gonna again have their 3-4-man squad, pushing out mid lane here, just playing it very smart, very safe, and TL not leaving a lot of options here.
We're gonna get some damage on a Bwipo there, and the flash over the wall might be safe for now. They get over in time. This should be a chase down as LeBlanc shows up for a bit more. Good damage comes across, won't find the barrel chain, will be rooted in finally. That will just be the kill. Shutdown comes through, but here's the push into the base. They got 8 seconds to get a lot done. This should be at least one Nexus turret. They'll focus the bottom one, they won't kill it, and they won't kill the top one either. So a shutdown comes across, they keep the base live for a moment. Now, will there be a play in the 5v4? Keep in mind, Dragon is alive when Bwipo is dead.
Yeah, so TL actually went to try to potentially even end the game. They had CoreJJ going over there trying to stop some bases. He was only actually able to stop Biofrost though, but they will retreat back. It won't be Dignitas trying to stop this one. They know that all the ultimates are up for the other 4 TL members, so if you try to face check in, you're likely gonna go down. TL moved to soul point, a good pick on Bwipo. It's all Dignitas can really do is just overload one side of the map and hope you get something out to buy yourself some time. Because as TL finishes out their item builds, you are gonna slowly catch up, but it's a long ways off.
Arrow lands, but I think it's gonna be okay. Like, you landed a stun, but 0% of the time was that a kill and a Neo. Doesn't really matter. Like, you're between everything anyway. Maybe you bait a Mikhail's, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where, maybe if it was a different target they thought was really easy to kill, they flash in or they try to Hex Flash over the wall and follow up or something. But either way, not going to be too big of a deal. TL just continue the push here, escorting in these minions through mid. Bot naturally pushing with the supers. Bwipo again up towards top, and TL just move around as this squad here, trying to make sure of this one.
Feeling a little bit safer because Arrow is down. They have one fewer cooldown to worry about. Tag on a CoreJJ, shields almost all of it. They find their way in yet again. Banshee's now picked off, actually, so a better stun target here for Bjergsen. He has a Zhonya's. Hansama, once again at 1,400, doesn't have any bonus health. It's not a Bloodthirster, it's not a Shield Bow, it's not a Maw. What you see is what you get. A stopwatch is relevant unless you stun him.
Yep, has the stopwatch, has the Wit's End, so has a little bit of safety from that, but definitely would be vulnerable. It's just so hard for them to get in to do that much damage, but everyone has so much CC. You know, LeBlanc, if she can ever find the angle, can for sure 100-0 Ashe, but in the midst of Nautilus and Hecarim and Ahri, someone's going to CC you, and you're going to be the one that goes down.
Yeah, that's how that works pretty much. So we are onto the Blighting Jewels now as the mages look to add a Void Staff later onto the build. Of course, for Bjergsen, it's item number 5. That's gone for a cheaper build, keep in mind. A cheaper Mythic, and Banshees and Zhonya's both are quite inexpensive compared to a death cap. So, though, yes, Blue's behind a whole item slot, and to be fair, he is behind in gold. He's down 2 Barons and 5 turrets. You know, not exactly down a full item in practice.
Yep, he's down 800 gold individually, but Bjergsen is kind of more that supportive role, and they have Blue here on that side.
Gonna find a slow, a nice juke back, but Blue certainly doesn't have any way of living through there. There it comes across, Santorin gets the kill, and Baron will spawn during his death. His TP will come up as he revives. May just be a push for the base. FakeGod, Mini-Gnar, way too far up in the mid lane.
Arrows available.
Could be a lot of danger. Where will the stun come from? Not gonna try just yet. As ult only hits Santorin for a bit of poke. And here goes the siege. 40 seconds on the block to end the game.
And Mikhail's is now finally done, so Biofrost does have that available here.
Charm, gonna land, gets out. No, still gonna get a lot more done. And just a bounce house, poor Neo dies. Mikhail's about to come in late. He never got the flash away. This will be the end of the game, you gotta believe it. Gnar can try. He gets one back, actually. The minions aren't really here, so Santorin losing some health. Bjergsen the same. The last shot made to a minis out of range. Ignite won't quite kill him. Dignitas barely stays alive. Biofrost burns down. CoreJJ gets that kill in River. Gonna lose his Guardian Angel. Wave in from the top side. Look at the time the cooldowns appropriately. Able to flash to stay alive. But the turrets are falling. Blue revives in 4 seconds. Has everything up when he does so. But they're going for the Nexus already. FakeGod has no HP. Wants to bait him in. It's going to be the try to get that first kill as the Nexus falls. And Team Liquid win yet another.
Well played game there by Team Liquid. Looking really clean this Super Week. Really indexing heavily towards these hard engaged comps. They did it yesterday. They're doing it again today, and have been so good with their coordination in the 5v5s. All of these team fights showing up. They're always on the same page. The CC layering has been there from them. Dignitas had some bright moments early on. You know, they get the invade, they punish Santorin off a bit of misplay at his Raptors, they get a kill on bot side. You know, they had a good start, but TL were so stable, so strong throughout the next 20 minutes of the game. You know, they just kind of got into their comfort zone, and they're showing again, they are one of these teams that is rarely able to be challenged in this late game scenario. When they're playing for 5v5, when they're playing for Dragon setups, they're so damn good. It really is looking like the TL of old.
Yeah. And they're peaking at kind of the right time. I think Bjergsen, to me, is the man of the match. I feel like he made so many of those picks work. And I don't want to sell everyone else short, but like, okay, the arrows came through and Neo would arcane shift in time. By the way, Neo's mechanics were cracked that game. Just like, sucks that, you know, they're on a losing team, but every time he got arrowed or charmed from Fog of War, he at least got the arcane shift going to build distance. Like, I want to give him a lot of credit because he did play that really well in the Ezreal. You've got 7 points to engage, and you've arcane shifted every single one of them every single time. Like, that is impressive, but TL kept going, and Bjergsen landed so many of those engages. He would go and find a way to pick out Biofrost or wherever, and just the man was everywhere, and you know, kind of closed the game out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things where there's always so many things you can talk about, and it's like, it's interesting because it's like, to speak about Neo, I'm like, well, probably should have taken Cleanse this game, right?
Yeah.
And if he's not going to take Cleanse, then maybe Bio should have rushed Mikhail's, right? Because the Mikhail's got completed, I think, literally as their Nexus was getting pushed.
Yeah, he had him for one fight.
So it's one of those scenarios where it's like, that's something that is interesting for me to talk about, but would it have actually affected the game? Hard to say, right? Because I think TL were just so good at actually controlling the map. And I think one of their big strengths ever since they've had CoreJJ has been vision control and setups. They've been really, really excellent with that. And I think that made Blue's job so difficult. That paired with the CC, it's just hard for him to get anything done because Blue had a great early game.
Yeah, as soon as the Hecarim dove in the bottom lane and killed Biofrost, like, well, we don't have bot pressure anymore, so we don't have a bot lane dive anymore, right? We expected to push that one. So, yeah, it can be tough. Either way, Team Liquid, by far the better team. Well done to them. We are joining LeTigress and Team Liquid's Bjergsen for our Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you, Phreak. Welcome everyone to the Verizon post-game interview. I've got Bjergsen here after yet another Team Liquid victory, second for the week. This is 3 out of 4 games that you have played the Ahri, though. I wanted to know, is that something that the team is going for, or a pick that you've specifically been wanting to work on?
I think it's just a champion that I feel really comfortable on, and that even in this game, when we had a bit of an unfortunate early game, I was still able to find a lot of kind of picks and engage angles to set up my team. I think as a player, historically, I feel really comfortable when I can start fights and make action happen, and Ahri is a great champion for that. Luckily, or sadly, we threw that game against FLICKR for up 10,000 gold, but otherwise, it would be 3 wins on Ahri now. So, yeah, just a champ I like playing.
Yeah. All those triumphs did you give you player of the game for this one as well. So congratulations on that.
I think it's my first one.
Hey, let's go. That's crazy. Because, I mean, one thing about Team Liquid that I always find interesting is most of the time when I walk up to you all after the game, no matter who the opponent is, you're immediately going into that team review stage, always talking through it, even when you're going back over to makeup. How does that environment compare to other teams, whether that you've been on or others, in terms of the way that you approach that?
It reminds me of my old TSM rosters in like 2016 or 2020, where we have a lot of emotional maturity, so we're actually able to talk about the game right after the game without people being too heated and not being able to look at things logically. So that's something I really like about this team, is that we can lose or win a game and we can go backstage and it feels like we actually can get something out of these conversations while the game is still fresh in our minds. Whereas I've had a lot of teams where we have to take a few hours off, or even have to wait till the next day before we can talk about the game because people just get so heated and emotional. So that's something I really appreciate about this group of guys.
Yeah, it's so interesting, just the vibe whenever walking up to you all and talking in that manner. You mentioned TSM, you're facing them tomorrow, but I more so want to ask you about the fact that with them being locked out of playoffs, it does end the 18 split streak that they have had. You're a prominent part of the history. So what was your reaction to that? Have you talked to any of the players since and the like?
Well, it's not too surprising with how kind of their start went, and talking to the players, it seems like they're having a pretty hard time over there. I was happy to see them get a 2-0 last week, just because I still care about Spica and Huni a lot, and I want them to do well. Obviously don't want them to do well against us, so I still want to crush them tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully they turn around a little bit for next one.
Yeah, we'll see how they develop over in the future. Bjergsen, congrats on the W. We'll see if you can all pull off the 3-0. Thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
All right, before we go to a break, everyone, I did have an opportunity to speak pro-to-pro with Ablaze Olive ahead of this massive, important Super Weekend. So go ahead and check it on out.
Hey everyone, this is Hai here. I have Olive with me today, and we're gonna go back all the way to week 2, where they had this hour-long game against TSM. It was actually like 45 minutes, but it is a massive throw back and forth. So I have 4 different clips here that I'm gonna show Olive, and he's gonna tell me if he thinks that there's a winnable situation from these fights or not. So this is gonna be the first clip.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's really, really obvious. I think they definitely could have ended here.
Right. So then, if they can, how would they do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is they just have to, like, not ego kind of. Like, the Jinx is, like, the only person that can't die, and then if he dies, they can't end. If anyone else dies on the whole team, they can probably still end because it's 5v3 for another 10 seconds.
So if you're gonna call someone out on Team TSM, who do you think is at fault?
Looking at all the ultimates, I mean, Shenyi has everything up, so he can probably do a better job at marking the Zed. He also has exhaust up, so I think if anyone can do something, it's gotta be him.
It's super simple, the first clip. Shenyi, all he has to do is walk at Zed. If Zed uses WEQ on Shenyi, which he doesn't, then that means tactical is free to hit the tower. So we will go to the second clip now, and it's your point of view. I believe that there's a certain thing that could be done differently that can make it winnable. I want to see what you think about the play.
I think it's actually pretty hard for TSM to defend the wave. If they can defend the wave, then they can for sure end because I'm dead. But I think similarly, I don't think Graves can end either, just because Vex can kill the whole wave really well, I feel.
So basically, I don't think you need to show on the wave. If you do, that's fine. Hit the laser and run far back. But here you get caught out and you die for that. If you're just hidden and or not die, you have the ability to teleport into here to end as well. I think it's winnable from your guys' situation had you just played that differently.
I agree. I think you're right. I think we probably could have ended here.
I think it's a very high percentage chance.
Yeah, I agree.
So watch this clip here. You tell me what goes wrong in this clip, if anything at all.
Yeah, this is a fiesta. Both teams mess up here. TSM is forced to flip it. If there is a flip, then whoever gets Elder is almost always going to win. and TSM should have won because they engaged and killed their AD carry instantly. I'm pretty sure if Jinx is alive, they can just tank the towers and end the game.
So this clip's actually longer than all of them, but this one's also much more obscure than the other ones.
So I remember we had a lot of problems this game because we didn't have anyone that could deal with the Lulu Jinx moving at 600 move speed just running at us, and